Hello, you're watching TelecomTV from the ETSI NFV ISG, which is being held here in Silicon Valley in California, in Santa Clara. And I'm Martyn Warwick, and I'm talking with Diego Lopez of Telefonica. He is the head of technology exploration in the global CTO unit. Diego, good to see you again.
Thank you. The same.
Thank you. Let's ask first of all about ETSI. It's evident that NFV is of great potential importance to the global communications industry, full stop. What role has ETSI played in the NFV story?
Well, ETSI has been our mothership for a long time, for the 2 years, for the whole life of the NFV initiative, and they have been extremely helpful. They have facilitated the whole thing happen. They have made something that is important. That is that they have provided us with a formal foundation, simplifying all the details when going into something that can be complicated, which is about the procedures, the rules, how to bring consensus, how to avoid problems with lack of openness, etc. So I would say they have been an essential ingredient in the NFV concoction.
Thank you. Now, as NFV moves beyond phase 1 and into phase 2 and onto the proof of concept before trialing takes place, widespread trialing takes place, and eventually there's commercial adoption and deployment, can you tell us something of the proofs of concept that you have been concerned with within Telefonica?
Well, first of all, I try to because we are proud of it, we have a commercial service right now running with a few users, a few hundred users in Brazil, which is a virtualized home environment, and still is not part of the business unit's portfolio, but we are on it and we have a commitment to do it by the beginning of next year, going formally part of our commercial offer. Apart from that, that has been a very practical, very much business-oriented endeavor. We have been dealing with mostly aspects related to guaranteeing performance and portability of the VNFs. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, we have established what we call our NFV reference lab. When we are running not only the POCs that are being defined in ETSI, but we are running our own way of evaluating and deriving some insight of how the industry, the proposals coming from the industry. Mm-hmm. And apart from that, we have been playing a little bit as well with, let's say, more researchy initiatives, just trying to better understand the implications of NFV for the general designs on the network and the how different services can be deconstructed and reconstructed in the light of virtualization. In particular, we have been looking at, for example, very much at security services. We believe that security is one of the coming next hot topics in what comes to NFV, and for sure, orchestration and management, that is the key aspect of the, or one of the key elements to make this happen.
You touched on this in the answer to the first question, but I'll drill down a bit further into it if I may. It's emphasized all the time that if NFV is going to be the global success everybody wants it to be, it's going to have to be open. Mm-hmm. But the reality, as we all know from history in this game, is that telecommunications and the IT industry is by its nature proprietary. We have seen in the past, maybe mobility has been slightly different to that, but go back to fixed line and the IT industry in itself, very much a case of emerging de facto standards that happen all the time. How are we going to avoid that this time around?
Well, I think that there is first of all, make a point of this. If you look at the evolution of the networking IT industry has been on private or particular enhancement of open platforms. You think that, for example, when it comes to the let's say in the database arena, mm-hmm. you have Oracle that is extremely successful, but they're using SQL. That is an open standard. It's an open technology. And elsewhere you look is about the differentiation of a company that has been successful on top of an open substrate. The clue here, I guess, is precisely to identify which is the open substrate, well, and to define clearly which is the limits between the open substrate and the proprietary differentiation that will allow a company to make money and to have success in the arena. So, identifying the substrate right now, we see that the substrate is in the current position is at the level of what we're calling the NFV infrastructure, the NFVI, and the management of this.
Mm-hmm.
I think personally, that to have a really open ecosystem, we should go a little bit upwards in the stack, in the NFV stack, and that would imply to have a set of common framework for deploying the VNFs, the virtualized network functions, mm-hmm. plus probably a common set of ancillary network functions that are providing, for example, things like security, accounting, these kind of services. And well, this is one of the projects we are considering. I mean, inside Telefonica, and to contribute to the community in the future when it becomes mature enough.
We know, all of us, about the potential benefits of NFV, but there are barriers to its adoption. Can you tell us what they are, and even more importantly, perhaps, how you can get over them?
Yeah, well, essentially, apart from the technical barriers, because it's a rather new technology, we had a lot of aspects to understand much better than we understand them now. There are a couple of things that are very important. One is cultural, organizational aspects. Networking companies, all networking companies, I mean, operators, vendors, system integrators, you name it, are based in the architecture of a network made of boxes that are connected by cables.
Yeah.
And now we have to start thinking about how. Well, we are blurring the limits of the boxes, and we are even blurring some of the cables because they became they could become virtual as well. Mm. And now we have to organize around that. And this is a huge change for all of us, including internally and externally, because the relationship between an operator and a vendor, or operator and a system integrator, a vendor and a value-added reseller, whatever, it's going to change because everything will be. It's not that clear as I send you the box inside the.
Yeah.
This is one thing, and this is extremely important, and we are still facing it, and we are internally, at least, I can tell you that in the big corporations, it's being slow, frankly. Yeah. Second thing, and this is equally important, that is something that reminds me, some time ago there was a very good commercial on TV that there was people that were showing how difficult things could become when making changes to a running IT infrastructure. And they were showing that it was like building a plane at the time it was flying. Well, that's our problem. We had to build our plane while it is flying because we cannot stop the network to say, well, let's stop the network for 1 week and the next week it will become fully virtual. We have to do it, and we have to find ways of dealing with heterogeneity. We have to find ways to looking for the reconciling what is now our physical network and what is going to be our virtual network. And again, there is a lot of things to do there and a lot of hurdles that we have to deal with. They are technical and economical as well. These are the two main I would say barriers, but I am confident that they will be more or less overcome, yes, one way or another.
Thank you. And a final question to you. We've said that we're moving from phase 1 to phase 2 of NFV. What's going to happen at the end of this, the 7th ETSI NFV ISG meeting? And will ETSI remain in the position it is now, where it has been the honest broker, the enabler of everything that's happened as we've discussed? Or do you think a time is coming when the vendors, the manufacturers, service providers, a whole lot, take more responsibility and control, and ETSI becomes more of an overseer?
Well, there is a common agreement that we need this phase 2, that we need to consolidate what we have achieved in this couple of years. Well, discussions are ongoing, and discussions are being hot and hard along these days, and we're still on it. In shaping what phase 2 will be, I think that one of the things that we're going to do, and this is, I guess, a common agreement, is that first, the coming which is the incarnation of phase 2, will be much more focused on interoperability. We have this dedicated phase 1 mostly to establish the concepts, and we will now to show that we can provide different, make inter-vendor interoperability and multi-operator interoperability, because it's important as well that our systems are able to work with some other operators, so other operators over the world. And in doing this, we are trying to open up or to make the leadership and the steering of this effort more open, include vendors. But you know, this ETSI phase 1 has been mostly steered by operators, and we're trying to incorporate the vendors, because when it comes to implementation interoperability, we had to count on them definitely. And the plan is that ETSI will, I would say they will be playing the same role as our mothership. This is the place in which we will have the base to move around, to explore, and to root our evolution. What will happen after the coming 2 years? Because the proposal right now on the table is precisely to extend the ISG life for an additional 2 years. Well, who knows? I mean, 2 years is a long time in the industry. There are other initiatives moving around. We are collaborating with open source projects. There is this open NFV project. There are another proposals. For example, we are in Telefonica. We have been contributing actively to the coming release of OpenStack with our findings when it comes to performance. So we are confident that we are going to open up in 2 directions: open up the steering to vendors, and consolidate our opening up to the rest of the networking and IT community, because we have to include all of them.
Big job. But we're getting there.
Big fun.
Diego Lopez, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you very much to you.